There you go. All right, I am live. Hello, Leslie. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. I hope you're all doing well today. I have had a lot of requests for me breaking down the stars of Pastor Greg Locke. And if you're not familiar with who he is, who did the book burnings and week, and then on TikTok, um, resurrecting the witch burnings again. This is his chart. This is his chart. And we're going to go over it. Now, I put an X on a couple of things. Now, I am an ancient astrologer. So, therefore, I don't have a birth time on him. So, I've crossed out the midheaven and the ascending or rising sign because without a birth time, it's not going to pertain to him. But everything else is going to be pretty spot on and accurate. And I'm going to be able to tap into two of his past lives. Now, this is an individual who has not lived very many lives. He is a very young soul, not an old soul in any sense of the way. Um, if he was an old soul, he would not be in the profession that he is. Okay, so first we're going to go to this area right here, the first house. You can see that. You go and show Facebook. We're going to be working on this area right here. First house, dragon's tail on him. First house represents your soul's purpose in life and how the world views you. Now, he is a Taurus. That's his sun sign. He is born on May 18th, 1976. And he is born in the sun sign of Taurus. So let me get these on so I could start reading. All right, and I took some notes here. So here we go. So he is born in the sun sign of Taurus. You see the dragon's tail sitting there right on him. Hey, Loshan, how are you? Oh, okay. Got it. All right. He in Facebook jail again. And you know what? As time progresses, they're going to keep censoring more and more and more. I'm surprised I haven't gotten in jail, but I've stayed off of Facebook for a while until now. I will see if this video even goes through for Facebook. But so he is a Taurus. He has a stellium of 3, meaning he has 3 planets residing in Taurus. He's got Jupiter, he's got Venus, and he has the sun. 3 planets: Jupiter, Venus, Sun. Anytime you have 3 or more planets, it is called in ancient astrology a stellium, and it just means he has a higher concentration of Taurus energy going through his chart, especially on himself and his soul's purpose. Now, the tail sitting there on his first is going to affect him quite a bit. Anytime you have a dragon's tail in Taurus, now this is a dragon's tail in Taurus. This doesn't mean that Tauruses in general are like this, okay? I have a lot of Tauruses in my life, and yes, they have a zest for life. They enjoy the good things in life, but they're the kindest, most loyal souls you'll meet, most of them. No 2 Tauruses are alike, so I just don't want to piss off any of my Tauruses, okay? Because I really love Taurus. It's one of my favorite signs. So what I'm talking about is not the sun sign of Taurus. I am talking about the dragon's tail in Taurus, okay? Anytime you have a dragon's tail in Taurus, please remember, those of you who've had a soul's reading from me, you know what I'm talking about. This is past life residue. We all feel comfortable residing on our tail, whether that's the hidden dragon, which I'm going to explain to you in a bit, or his natal dragon like he has now. He feels comfortable residing on his tail because he's lived it before. These are past life incantations, and he feels comfortable there. His dragon head is in Scorpio. So looking at his chart, there are some placements there where he has the potential to be in the metaphysical. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not educated in it in some ways. I kind of laugh at the video clip I played the other day. Hi, Melly. I kind of laugh at the video clip I played the other day because he's talking about there's a witch. There's 6 witches in his church. Well, I don't know any damn witch in her right mind that would sit through his fucking Sunday sermon. Sorry. Hi, Jessica. Yeah, I just got some information about him. I've been working on his chart and breaking it down for the last hour and a half. So yes, we're going to unpack it right now. But let's start with the dragon's tail in Taurus. Anytime Bernie Madoff had this placement. Bernie Madoff, if you don't know who he was the guy who created the Ponzi scheme, and he ripped off a lot of people. He ripped off firemen, nurses, teachers. He was Taurus with a dragon's tail in Taurus. The only difference between this guy and him is that Bernie Madoff's tail was in his second house of money, and that made him dishonest. Now, I'm not saying this guy is dishonest. I'm not saying this guy is honest, because he's not really. But let's talk about it here. I wrote notes here. Anytime you have a dragon's tail in that placement, especially when it's on himself, his soul's purpose in life, this is where he may have in the past, or this might be something in the future that he does, but he will do something unlawful with money. You may hear in the next year or two about him not paying taxes or something like that. Even though churches don't pay taxes, I get it. We need to tax the church, but something to that effect. IRS issues, stuff like that. Now, he does unlawful things when it comes to money because psychologically, he is a very financially insecure individual. He will marry for money. Let's talk about the planets he has in there, not just the sun. The sun is the outward purpose, the outward appearance of a person. He's got Jupiter, which is the money house. Jupiter represents money. It's the Lord of luck. Wherever this planet is placed, it will always promote that person, especially a Jupiter in Taurus. That is a money-making thing. If you've got any of you out there have that placement, especially in the first, the second, the 10th, you will have some money someday. So he makes his money through his church. He also has a Venus in Taurus, which becomes dignified because Venus, Taurus's ruling planet, is Venus. It's dignified. So this creates someone where he cares very much all about money. Money, security. He's focused on that. That's his mission, is security. And the money that he brings in for his church and through his church. Now, when we have a tail in Taurus, his past life, he was a female woman, and he was a woman of high society. He was a woman of, he was wealthy. He was a very, very wealthy woman of some sort, of aristocracy, maybe. He had a lot of money in a past life. And I'm going to go to my notes because I'm working off written notes and I'm working off notes I put on my computer. So in a past life, he only really considered his own happiness in some ways, with little regard for others. This is the type of mentality an elitist. Maybe he was a Rothschild or something, but he was born into a family of money in a past life. Where was I? He will have little regard for the needs of others. In this lifetime, he needs to learn to cooperate with others, to form more egalitarian relationships, by devoting his energy and resources to others, he will learn to develop kindness and understanding. He has a gift for helping others recognize their own self-worth. So he is good at what he does, and he see, everyone's stars are positive and negative. So I can't come on here and just bash him completely, because I know that's what everyone wants me to do. And I'm not saying that he's not a little batshit crazy, but deep down, he wants to help others. And that's because of where his hidden dragon is. And I'll explain that in a minute. But because of all the complexities of his chart's placement, he's fallen into this realm of being a pastor, of being a loud Sunday sermon preacher. Let me just see what I have here. Okay. He has a dragon's head in Scorpio, and that hits his 7th house. That's the house of marriage. Right here, number 7. Right here, number 7. Marriage, partnerships, contracts. Very much a control freak in his marriage. Scorpio, along with Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo, are fixed signs. They're the 4 most stubborn signs in the zodiac. And if you can change one of these 4 signs' minds, you have become the fixed sign whisperer, in my opinion, because these people, once they dig their heels in, they're not going to change their mind. But he has the dragon head sitting in Scorpio, along with Neptune, or is that Uranus? Uranus, excuse me. So this creates Uranus, wherever Uranus is placed in your charts. Hi, Judy, how are you? Wherever Uranus is placed in your chart, this creates sudden, release of energy, shocking news. So one day he may be married, and then the next day he may be being given divorce papers. Now, I went and researched him just a little bit, like 5 minutes of research right before I got on here. And I know his ex-wife was telling a story, and you can go and Google this and hear all about it. But his ex-wife was said that he spit on her. He gets verbally violent and kind of manhandled her a little bit. I don't know all the particulars. I was reading really fast. I just kind of read little snippets of things, but you guys can go and Google it, and you will be able to get an idea of how he is. I'm looking at his chart. Bear with me. This is Uranus, excuse me. It's Uranus that's in the 7th house, not Neptune. When you have, like I said, Uranus, sudden release of energy, explosions. So his marriages can be very volatile and very, and I say that because moving over, we're going to jump from the 1st house to the 4th house. Right there. Right there. It's Mars in the 4th house. This is fire on fire. He has a Mars in Leo in the 4th house. So anytime you have fire on fire in the 4th house, this does mean he needs to watch and be careful in his own life that his house doesn't catch on fire, or even his church. But he has witnessed in his life violence as a child. Maybe there was abuse he saw with his parents from the father or stepfather. But he has had a very kind of volatile home life as a child. When he's ruling his home, he's ruling it with an iron fist of authoritarian order, just like he runs his church. He runs his home the same way, with authoritarian order, and he can be abusive in his home. Anytime you have a Mars in the 4th house, a Mars in the 7th house, this can represent abuse within the home. 7th house is marriage, 4th house is home. So if he has kids, he's horrible to them. He's a drill sergeant. and he's mean. It's just one of those things. It's the way his stars are. That's why he does well at what he does. Okay, moving back now. I know I'm jumping around like someone with ADHD, which I do have, so I have an excuse. No, let's see. Second house. Second house is the house of money, wealth, possessions. Go to here. I want to show you guys second house. He has Mercury. That is the planet Mercury. And it is dignified in Gemini. So one thing I could say about me working in the school systems, I can always tell a kid who had this placement, because this is the kid in the class up. He keeps talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I used to take care of a kid like this, so I know. And they just talk and talk and talk and talk. They're natural born chatterboxes. And when they're little, it's absolutely freaking adorable. When you're a grown-ass man like this, you have diarrhea in the mouth. I don't know how else to put it. Please remember that he has Mercury, the Lord of communication and speech, in Gemini. It's dignified. It's comfortable. It's in its governing sign. So this placement always will make a person never shut up. And as an adult, he's just going to spew and spew and spew, even if it doesn't make any sense. Let me go to my notes on my computer, because I know I have some on here about this. I just got to scroll up. And I will tell you exactly what the software says about him as well. So you're getting a perspective, not just from my point of view, but you're also getting a perspective from what software is generating and the Nostradamus point of view here. Mercury is a natural ruler of Gemini and a very comfortable and very comfortable in that sign because it's dignified. You have a clear, rational mind as well as a sharp wit and sense of humor. Your imagination is very active, and it's imperative that you do not allow yourself to become bored intellectually. So this is a person with a very fast-moving mind. The mouth is going to move quicker than the mind, though. This is where we don't think before we speak. He has a knack for communications, and others will find him a very stimulating conversationalist. So this is why he is the stimulating pastor that he is on stage. He can get up there and talk a good talk, give a good rant. This is him. This is his unique celestial identity. Now, with this placement, you also have to be careful not to speak too quickly in anger without thinking your words carefully, or you can do great carnage with hurtful words when you are angry. So obviously he doesn't think before he speaks, and it only takes one weak-minded jackass to have someone plant a crazy idea in someone's head. Spray. It's happened before. So yes, that is the Mercury in Gemini, and then usually, like I call it the diarrhea of the mouth placement. Yes. All right. I want to talk about the third house now, because if the second house is the house of wealth, possessions, and money, and let me go back to that for a minute. This is why he talks so much. It's about the more he talks, even if it doesn't make sense, and he creates a hysteria and of fallacies, he's still going to make money. His mouth makes him money. All right, moving on. Now I want to talk about the third house. I'm going to show you guys right there. That's Saturn. Now Saturn, let's talk about Saturn. Now, Saturn is considered the great malefic. What I mean by that, it is one of the darker planets. Saturn is the planet of karma. Saturn is the planet of government and structure and discipline, abuse and control as well. For every positive, there is a negative, and the negative of Saturn is fear mongering, the fear principle of things. And he has this in Cancer. So this also represents mental clarity. Now, on the realm of astro psychology and medicine, I'm not a doctor, but on the realm of astropsychology and the medical astro aspect of things, anytime you have Saturn stationed in the 12th house, which is the deep subconscious mind, or the third house, which is the mental clarity, those two houses, the third and the 12th, rule our mind. Third is the mental part, the mental clarity, and the 12th is the deeper, deep subconscious mind. Anytime you have Saturn, which rules depression and fear and disease, in that house, his mental clarity will be fueled by fear, which is what he's doing in his church, fearing, putting fear into people about witches and not just witches, people in the esoteric. This goes so much further than that little word witch. We're talking healers, we're talking shamans, we're talking, pagans, we're talking um, energy healers, root workers, hoodoo, voodoo, like the whole aspect. Santissima, Streges, the whole aspect, the whole facade. Now, please remember, we have a dragon's tail cruising the world in Scorpio. What does Scorpio rule? Besides witchcraft, it rules the metaphysical world, it rules the underworld. It's not an accident that these politicians and religious people are coming for us. It's not an accident. It's written in the stars. I can't get into it today. I'm going to have to go back on here tomorrow because I want to talk about him some more. But two of my predictions have come true. If you're in Patreon, you know. If you're not, it's disturbing what has taken place in the last 24 hours, the information I've found out. But my prediction number 5 and my prediction number 20 has come true. And it's awful. I wish to God I was wrong. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. I want to move over to this still. Talking about the Saturn. Like I said, this is depression due to fear and disease. It's the fear principle. So he fears, his mental process is full of fear of the end days and this, that, and the other. And what I'm going to say, some of you aren't going to like, and that's okay. Every time I say something that is unorthodox and completely out of the box, people seem to hate me for it. And that's okay. And I don't care. I wouldn't be true to myself. But God never came down and wrote any books. Bible, Torah, Quran, none of that was ever written by God. It was written by men to control others. And that's what he does. He's a pawn in this too, this pastor. He's a pawn in this too. So with that being said, you can disagree with me all you want. I know there's a lot of you out there that totally disagree with me, but I'm sorry. We have been not given the knowledge that we rightly deserve, and that's being able to read the stars, the messages up above our head. Those are the messages written in starlight, whether you want to call it God, divine power, a creator, a higher power, whatever. The stars are a blueprint to everyday life, both in my life, your life, and his life. Okay. I will get to the chat. I'm on a roll, and if I don't lose my train of thought here. So that's the Saturn in Cancer does create fear, a fear principle. And he's very focused on security. Once again, it's a security issue with him. Let me just check my notes on the Saturn in Cancer and see if I left anything out before I move ahead. Another thing I wanted to add about Mars and Leo, I'm going back now, I'm looking at my notes. That placement can strain his body, especially his heart. The fourth house is Leo, so he can be very prone later in years to heart attacks because of that placement. Yeah, wherever Mars is placed in your chart, it is two things. Or a woman desires in a partner, or it is the danger that comes with it, the danger principle. I have Mars in Pisces, so there's danger around water, but I have a dragon's head in Pisces that protects me. But this could explain why I have arthritis in my feet. Mars can create a disease as well. It's about, I think Mars flare up. So this is where your joints and your feet can flare up, wherever that's placed on the medical aspect. His is in Leo. Leo on the medical aspect rules the heart. So he will be prone to heart attacks, especially if he gets all high strung on up there about witches. Oh, keel over on stage. Sorry, I'm just playing out a scenario in my head. Anyway, moving on. All right, sixth house. Where are we? Sixth house. Hidden Dragon's Head, HDH. He's got Pluto there too. Sixth house is his house of health, service to the world. So anytime you have this placement, he also has a hidden dragon's head in Libra. Now, Libra, in some ways, he's kind of doing what he's meant to be doing. Libra only can create this. The only difference is, in this placement, he's not residing on his head, because a dragon's head in Libra will create a person who wants balance and harmony and peace. Okay, that's Libra. That's a dragon's head in Libra. And I actually know some pastors myself from my paranormal investigating days. I used to go with a rabbi, a pastor, and a couple other people, and we all got along just fine because we were able to be adults and put our religious beliefs to the side. We were still all human beings investigating and having a good time. But from his hidden dragon's tail, and we're going to move right on over to that. If that is his head, I got to focus it here. I'm working off two screens, you guys, so please bear with me. Where's my finger for you Facebookers? There is his hidden dragon in the 12th house of the subconscious mind in Aries. So normally with this placement, if there were without other factors involved, if he was an old soul, his past life would have been of a Viking of some sort. Okay, because a dragon's tail in Aries represents a past life as probably a German soldier or someone who saw a lot of warfare and violence. Like I said, he is a young soul and has lived a past life with a harsh life full of violence, warfare. Like I said, if he was an older soul, he probably would have been a Viking, but unfortunately, from tapping into his hidden dragon in his 12th house, he still feels like he is a German soldier. I won't go to the extreme of saying a Nazi soldier, but he was a German soldier. Either World War I, World War II. German soldier. He has to realize that in this lifetime, he is not at war anymore. And you could tell that by how he goes on stage and speaks about witches. Like he's at fucking war with everybody. He's at war because he's operating on his past life residue. He's done that before. It's familiar. So he wants to go to war. He's not riding his dragon's head to success, happiness. He's not doing it. And that's just the way it is. Now, going back to, he has Pluto in Libra, and that's his career, or his sixth house is the house of health and service to the world. So anytime you have Pluto in that placement, Pluto is about death, drama, rebirth, transformation. So this is death, drama, and transformation coming within his work life. This could also come within his health. I mean, I haven't done anything because I wouldn't waste my energy on this individual, but I guarantee you there's a shit ton of witches out there who are making a little voodoo doll out of him or a puppet or doing something to him. So, him opening his mouth like that, yes, we are in danger, but also he is in danger. Okay? He is in danger in the metaphysical world. So, let me make sure I haven't left anything out of my notes. This is just a brief excerpt on him. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on him. Let me just go to my notes. Another thing he does, I'm looking at my notes, he has issues getting along with people, especially if he has siblings. He doesn't get along with them very well. That creates a Saturn in the third house scenario. And he will suffer with Neptune in his eighth house. Where the fuck is it? There it is. Neptune, eighth house. Neptune, eighth house with that placement. That anytime you have Neptune in the eighth or the 12th house, it does give a person some sort of psychic abilities. They're aware of it or not. I don't know if he's aware of them or not. He does have abilities, and I do think he's very versed in the occult world. In fact, someone on my TikTok said maybe he's talking about himself. That could be a possibility, That's one thing about religious leaders. They always talk about don't, gay people, don't be gay. It's a sin. It's a crime. It's this, it's that. And then you find out they're closet gays, they're closet homosexuals or transsexual, bisexual. They are in the closet about something, but yet they're bashing others. That is a typical pasture. That's the hypocrisy of it all, Let's see what else here. This also creates a person, sixth house, Pluto. He's impatient and with corruption and injustice in society and will work to try and expose those responsible. So he thinks that if anyone doesn't conform to his points of view and the way he thinks, that we are to be eliminated. We are a corruption to society. The only other thing I think I have highlighted here, going back to his North Node in Scorpio, he has a deep desire for the finer things in life and is willing to work hard to achieve success and a sense of security. He has and this is a very much a conservative viewpoint, because our stars make us conservative or progressive, Democrat or Republican. It's our stars that make us that way. And we're looking here and it says, he's willing to work very hard to achieve success and a sense of security. That word keeps coming up. There's an issue there with security. Any of my witches out there who do feel they want to cast on him, you see, having this, I have an advantage because I know his weaknesses and I can tap into them. So his weaknesses is security. Destroy that and you will destroy him. Just throwing it out there. He has a stubborn tendency to cling to old ideas and patterns which have worked in the past for him. So he won't think outside the box or learn new things. That's just his way. That's very much a conservative placement. They like to stick to the tried and true. And the only other thing I'm going to bring up is if you've ever had a soul's reading from me, you know that the second part of your reading, there's a thing called planets in aspect. And I say about the first 8 or 10 really take on your character. Now, sometimes they are negative. And if they are negative, that doesn't mean you're going to be like that for the rest of your life. Knowledge is power. You sit, if you have a big ego and you get pissed off and say, that's not me, that's not me. Well, fuck you. Yeah, it is you. And you've got to learn and grow from it. His planet's an aspect. First one, right off the bat. Moon opposes Mars. So the moon is in opposition to Mars. There's a battle there. So his personal relationships are a consistent source of conflict in his life. And this is mostly because of his unwillingness to compromise. He seems to be willing to fight over the smallest little things and often takes things too personally. His emotions are intense and he can be easily provoked. So this is not, right off the bat, this is not a good placement for a person to have. Now, if you are born natally with this, you will learn to do better and be better and progress forward. Now, like I said, knowledge is power. So when we know our weaknesses along with our strengths, we can change things because we're men. The power of man and the power of our mind and will is stronger than any stars will ever be. Remember that, okay? Those are the stars in brief discussion of Pastor Greg Locke. Like I said, he's born with a natal dragon in Scorpio and the tail is in Taurus. But think about where the universal energy, it's completely reversed. The universal energy is the north node is in Taurus and the south node, dragon tail, is in Scorpio. So everything's reversed on him. The dragon is riding his first house, soul's purpose. So this is making him boastful and getting attention. That's what he wants, attention. And then the tails on the 7th. This is marriage, partnerships, contracts. So because of some of the things he said, later on, he could lose potential contracts with people or sponsors, especially if someone in his congregation acts on his words. Words have power, and the weak-minded act on that. He's weak-minded because not only does he have Saturn in the 3rd, he has a hidden dragon tail in the 12th in Aries. So his mind is just aggression, volatile. He's living his past. He's of being at war, and he's not at war anymore. So, okay, what are we saying in the chat here? He's obsessed with his religion. I mean, oh. Yeah, Lotion, you're right. It's an obsession. He's obsessed. And there are people out there. I mean, even in the witch community, I see the obsession. There's obsessive witches, self-righteous ones. I see it. It has nothing really to do with his faith. It's the character, his character. That's what affects people, is sometimes their character is their own worst enemy. You know your own character and you have a little insight, you can kind of change the course of things, you know. I can see it. Yes, Melly, that's exactly what I'm worried about right there, that comment. He has a lot of weak-minded followers, and that's crazy and scary. I agree, that's scary. I 100% agree. Jim Jones copycat. There's always going to be a copycat, and even other pastors are taking a cue from this guy. You know, I mean, this is the guy who burned books about a week ago. So I guess we're going to resurrect the witch burnings now. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's too many of us for that to happen, because if you look at statistics, they show that especially Gen Z and millennials, some Gen Xers, nobody's going to church anymore. No, nobody's going to work anymore. Nobody's going to church. The organized religion is dying. And they're fighting it tooth and nail. And it's just one of those things. 100 years from now, it will be very, very different if we are around as humans. I remember there's one I mentioned. Yes, lotion. I did. That's one of my predictions, and it's starting to come true. I can't remember which one it was with the witch burnings. I think I mentioned it to my Patreons the other day, but it is, yeah, scary how the stars don't lie, but you get an insight of what's going on as well. Let's see. What they preach is the true word of that book that's been picked apart. Well, that's it. The book has been picked apart. I was trying to explain this. I don't remember who the heck it was I was talking to, but there's a part in the King James verse that something about kill a witch. Okay, that has been changed. The Bible through the centuries has been changed to appease popes and kings and man, and it constantly has changed to appease men. So, you keep constantly changing things. Well, it loses its validity, and it loses its meanings. You know what I mean? Let's see. Message me. I will put the TikTok up in just a second. I will go to that in a minute here and bring it up, and I'll put it down below if you guys want to join. Okay, let me go to this. It's doing its thing. So interesting, because yes, we do have lunar and solar eclipses coming this year. April 30th is the first one. I believe it's a solar eclipse in Taurus. Why I can't keep remembering this in my head is beyond me. April 30th, solar eclipse in Taurus. So with this being said, before I go any further, because I know there's a lot of you who invest in crypto and stuff, it's going to get better after this eclipse. After this eclipse in Taurus, solar, sun, outward expression, money, Taurus, it's going to get better. Okay. I'm telling you, the inflation is being created by our corporations. It's the corporations that are creating it. The elitists are creating it. I guess they're pissed off they can't hire people for $12 an hour and get treated like complete shit. Times are changing. The baby boomers put up with that shit. Gen Z doesn't, Gen X doesn't, and neither do the millennials. Yes, we do, Lotion. We outnumber them over and over. Let's see, what did Melly say? Just because we have, yes, lunar eclipses. And then the next one's May 16th, and that's a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. I'll talk more about that in the weeks to come, but that's going to be a bad one. A bad one. That the whole month of May is going to be bad. I'll talk more about that later. The next eclipse is October 25th. It's a solar in Scorpio. And whatever was really negative on the 16th, the 25th will be more of a positive awakening. Then November 8th, lunar eclipse in Taurus again. Excuse me. This is where the markets might take a hit. Okay. There's a possibility of that. So just jot those dates down. And as time goes on, I will explain more. You guys are so very welcome. I hope I read everybody's messages on here. I want to take a moment to thank my daughter. She is my moderator. She's a silent person in here. Lately, I've had to do this because you guys can't see it, but I can see it, where I'm getting negative messages from mostly religious zealots that just want to bug the shit out of me, I guess. So I have her on there as a secret moderator, just in case anything gets out of hand. And, you know, because sometimes I lose my train of thought when I have to stop everything and go and delete a message. It's just, I lose my complete train of thought. But those are the stars of Mr. Locke. Let me go in and make sure my Patreon is up. And I'll leave. Let me see something here. Bear with me. Bear with me. The computer is slow. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry about that. That took a little while. It's unfortunate that you... Well, here's the thing. Oh, Jessica, you're so very welcome. I know, isn't she the best? Yes, she's my secret spy. She's my 007. But Melly, you're absolutely right. It is unfortunate that we have to do this, but people in this world that are not advanced, anybody else, that's not what I'm claiming. But a lot of the people that follow me have cosmic consciousness. And even though my following platform is small at 160 something, it's the people with higher consciousness that follow me. The ones with a big ego, or the ones that get pissed off with what I say, they're not vibrating on that higher level. Okay. And even these people, this Pastor Locke, he's not in touch with his Christ consciousness, is what they call it, I guess. He's not in touch with his own Christ consciousness. Because I know a lot of pastors, and they don't think like that. It's about her, you know, and it's just, there's always going to be a few bad apples in the barrel. But unfortunately, for the next 18 months, this is going to intensify. Okay. Now, I'm going to get back on here tomorrow morning, because I'm going to bring you something I shared with Patreon late last night. I was so disturbed by it. And I told you that the police would make a lot of headlines these next 18 months. And there is a correlation here between the police and sex trafficking. Yes. I'm going to do some research on it tonight, and I'm going to get on here tomorrow morning. It'll be Friday morning coffee. No makeup, just me, my crazy hair. But we're going to get on here and talk about this again tomorrow, because it's imperative that... There's my Patreon. Sorry, here I am yakking away. So if you need my Patreon, there you could sign up, $5 a month. That'll get you into the mother one. The maiden one, I wouldn't waste my $3. I have it up there, but I don't post much in there. You're not getting your money's worth with it. I would just do the $5 one. If you're into more magical stuff, then the crone is definitely the way you want to go, because I do a lot of spell work in there. I haven't done the deity of the month yet, which is going to be Archangel Uriel for my Patreons. I'll be getting that done soon. I didn't have a chance to get on here and do spell work for the full moon, but I am going to get on here and on Patreon in a couple of days, sort of spell work. There's actually a spell that I was taught by my astrologer, and he's not into paganism, or he's a star child. This is a man who's been abducted many, many times by our brothers up there. But he showed me a spell that's absolutely amazing. Talk about a spell to release every negative energy. And it's, you take a white, a blue, and a green candle, and you put it in a shape of a triangle. You're going to create a cone of power through that energy. It's really an amazing spell. I can only show it and offer it on Patreon because that is a paid platform. I don't need him coming at me, suing me for anything, but it is an excellent, anyone can do it. It doesn't have to be anyone that's, if you're not pagan, fine. You don't have to do it. It's something even my own mother, who's Catholic, can do. Okay. It's all just about releasing negative energy. It's a beautiful thing. We'll try and do that on Patreon before the end of the month. It's something that should only be done at the new moon, or when there's been some sort of tragedy in your life. So, for example, the loss of a pet, the loss of a family member. You want to release the negative energy from that and send it up. So, well, Melly, you could catch it. I know you'll miss it. You can go back and catch it later in the evening. That is the beauty of YouTube. Is just you miss it, you catch it later. So it'll be up and you can check it out. But yes, I will come back on here tomorrow morning after I've done a little more research this evening on something. I want to open my big mouth until I've researched something. But I want to thank all of you guys today for tuning in. And if you liked what you heard, please give my channel a like. Spread it around. I would love to get to 1,000 today, so I can literally just videotape off my phone. That's my whole goal in life, to be able to videotape off my phone. And I really do hope the recording is clear. I know I'm having problems with my camera. So all of you out there, have a great Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. All of you on Facebook, thank you. Thanks for tuning. And I will try and get back on here tomorrow. Have a great evening, guys. Ciao.